Welcome back to the Daily Taoist with Will S. We are talking about the Tao Te Ching and how to get back to a spirit and alignment with the way. Today I will be talking about verse 39. The Tao Te Ching was written around 2,500 years ago by a man named Lao Tzu. It is one of the oldest texts in existence and certainly one of the wisest. Its wisdom is timeless, and its message is as relevant and important now as it was back then, if not more so. It is vital that we learn to come back into alignment or balance with the natural world and to live in a more harmonious and selfless way. And the Tao Te Ching beautifully instructs us in bringing ourselves into alignment with the Tao. Verse 39. These things from ancient times rise from one, in harmony with the Tao. The sky is clear and spacious, the earth is solid and full. All creatures flourish together, content with the way they are, endless repeating themselves, endlessly renewed. When man interferes with the Tao, the sky becomes filthy, the earth becomes depleted, the equilibrium crumbles, creatures become extinct. The master views the parts with compassion because he understands the whole. The pieces of a chariot are useless unless they work in accordance with the whole. A man's name brings nothing unless he lives in accordance with the whole universe. Playing one's part in accordance with the universe is true humility. The master lets himself be shaped by the Tao, as rugged and common as a stone. This might be deemed the ecology verse as we enter the second decade of the 20th century, first century. Perhaps the greatest challenge facing us as species is taking responsibility for the damage we've done to the planet's ecology and restore balance to the whole. On an individual level, when we live out of harmony with the Tao, the cracks soon start appearing in our relationships and the quality of our lives. When an entire species lives out of harmony with the Tao, we reap havoc not just upon ourselves, but upon the planet on which we depend. We need to be aware of the whole and not just live focused on a narrow set of constituent parts that we call things of our lives. Every single action affects the whole, and therefore we have to widen our concern from beyond the tips of our noses and outside of our homes, and families need to be aware of how our actions are impacting the whole. The ego mind likes to see itself as a separate entity. Important is it in its own right. If we shifted our perspective to see ourselves as simply cells in a much greater organism called humanity, then we would realize that each cell exists to serve the greater whole. When individual cells decide to go crazy and decide to do their own thing, we call this cancer, and it is generally not very conducive to the health and longevity of the greater organism. With this new expanded perspective, how would we do things differently? Are our lives contributing to the health of the overall organization? Or do we need to make some changes to better reflect our responsibility in this regard? Some interesting questions to ponder. A simple change of perspective is sometimes enough to change an entire life. Once again, Lao Tzu taking us to school. Guys, we are all part of this greater picture, right? What we do on a daily basis has impact, like your choices affect the world at large or the greater economy, right? Like the whole idea of vote with your wallet, right? Where you spend your money, where you spend your time and attention, where attention goes, energy flows. And if you are, over consuming or not contributing in a way that you feel content with, you can always make a change. The pieces of a chariot are useless unless they work in accordance with the whole. We're all working. It seems to me lately we seem to be all working against each other, and that the world that we've created has started to come apart at the seams a little bit. So maybe focusing on what we can give rather than what we can get might be the start. So it's the whole idea of a go-giver versus a go-getter, right? And if we can kind of switch our thought pattern and our language, right? If we stop being selfish, right? I find a lot of people nowadays are completely self-centered. Vapid is another word for it. If we stop being so vapid, vain, and we actually thought a little bit more about not just our individual self or our immediate family unit, if we kind of thought about, okay, what is this choice? What is this impact having on my fellow man? We live in a world of abundance, guys, and that's the thing that I think people are starting to get away from, right? The narrative right now, from what I've seen, is that there's shortages of everything, right? We got inflation is 20%. No, it's not. It's that your currency system has been debased to the point where your currency has no value. So the purchasing power that you had in 1960 versus what you had, or 1974 versus what you've had, is gone down by 500%. So, or some outrageous number. The dollar value that you had in 1974 equivalent to now is $42. So $1 in 1974 is equal to 44 odd dollars, 42 to 44 odd dollars today. $1 in 1974. So it's not that the price of goods or things have gone up. It's that you literally have a currency system with fiat money that's based upon, it's a debtor system. There's no end and there's no beginning. It's just a loop and a loop and a loop. So whether you work from home, whether you work for yourself, whether you work for the government, whether you're an RCMP, whether you're a tradesperson, whether you're any sort of person from any walk of life, how you live your life impacts everybody else and the rest of the world around you. And we have to be aware of this. I view our time here on the land, or in this universe, as stewards, right? We're supposed to be stewards, right? We're supposed to be the people that hand off to the next generation. And the way that things are shaping up right now is that the baby boomers basically got to have the best of everything, because the hard times that came before from the 1930s gave rise to the great men and leaders of that period in that area during the war times, and then the post-war boom from the 60s, 70s, 80s into the 90s. The baby boomers have basically reaped the benefits. Now we're passing on to the Gen X and the millennials and the Gen Y, and as each successive generation comes down the pipeline, there seems to be this mentality that, you just have to work harder, or that's just the way it is, and honestly, it doesn't need to be like this, right? We do have enough abundance on this planet to basically feed, clothe, and house and take care of every single person on this planet. It's just the powers that be, or the global infrastructure exists as it is. It's not in their best interest. They don't care. They would rather have a controlled population, and you'd have to come get your basics as a handout on the commune that you have to live on from now on. So again, just trying to keep this super real, super to the point. Basically, start living from a place of abundance. If you have a surplus, give it to deficiency, right? If you have excess clothes, money, food, shelter, then help somebody else in need and stop thinking about yourself, okay? I love each and every one of you on this planet. If you would like to learn more about the Tao Te Ching, if you would like some coaching in any area of your life, health, wealth, wisdom, I'm more than happy to set aside some time. Please connect with me on my socials at The Daily Taoist on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Like, follow, and subscribe on your favorite platform. Peace, abundance, love, and light. Namaste from Will.